Hey you guys, welcome back to See Mindy Mom. Today I am going to show you some meals for large families, so stay tuned. You guys might be thinking, Mindy, what do you know about this? You don't have a large family. We know that you have 3 children, which is more of a medium to average size family, and you would be correct. However, I did grow up in a large family. I am the 4th of 5 children, so my mother was coming up with meals to feed 7 people, ranging in age from toddlers and preschoolers to elementary kids to hungry teenagers to kids who are home from college on the weekend. Now, my mom would be the first to tell you that she does not love cooking. She keeps a very tidy house. She enjoys being in her garden, and she has beautiful flower beds, but cooking was always something that she was kind of just looking for, tasty recipes, but that were convenient, economical, and quick. So the recipes I'm going to share with you in this video are all things that we ate frequently while I was growing up. They usually either make a lot from the get-go, or they're really easy to double or even triple or just bulk up with other items that you probably already have in your kitchen. So let's jump into the video and I'll show you what we made. Tonight I am making my mom's version of chicken spaghetti. Now I know a lot of people have a chicken spaghetti recipe. I feel like when I've had it other places though, it's been with like Velveeta and Rotel, or maybe salsa or sour cream or something like that. My mom's recipe was really simple. I think it was 5 ingredients. A 16-ounce package of spaghetti cooked, 2 cans of cream of chicken soup plus 2 cans of milk or water if she didn't have milk, some shredded chicken, and 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. And then she mixed that up, salt and pepper to taste, put it in the oven in a casserole dish, and voila, that was dinner. Now I'm gonna make just a couple of small adjustments. First of all, I don't cook with cream soups, like condensed cream soups, so I'm going to attempt to make something similar from scratch on the stove. Also, my mom would often just boil the chicken breast and shred it, which was fine. And then later on, whenever rotisserie chickens became kind of the trendy thing in grocery stores and they were readily available, she would often just buy a rotisserie chicken and then use the meat from the rotisserie chicken in this casserole. I went ahead and just threw a few frozen chicken breasts into the crock pot earlier today, and I seasoned them with some onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of everything but the bagel seasoning. Now they're finished cooking and they're all shredded up, ready to go into the casserole, and they'll be just a little bit more flavorful than if I had boiled them. But boiling them worked just fine whenever I was a kid. And I feel like when she wanted to bulk this up, she would just add a little bit extra pasta. And she never put any veggies in this. She would just serve it with green beans and usually garlic toast. You could definitely bulk this up by putting some extra vegetables in it or a can of tomatoes or something. I'm just gonna make it just like she made it, except obviously making a few of the ingredients from scratch myself. Plus, I already have some spaghetti cooked that's left over from another dish that we had, actually just from spaghetti, which we had the other night. So I only had to cook about half a package of spaghetti for this casserole because half of it's already cooked. So I've got my water boiling for my spaghetti, and I'll turn you around and I'll show you the ingredients I'm gonna use to make my homemade cream soup. Here are the ingredients I'm going to use to make my homemade cream soup. I have 3 tablespoons of butter, half a cup of flour, 2 cups of chicken broth, but since I don't use chicken broth or I don't buy it, I just have 2 cups of water, and I'll use a tablespoon of this powder broth base, 1 cup of milk, and then my seasonings. I have half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of salt, and then about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper in there. So what I will do is just melt the butter, whisk in the flour as if I'm making a roux, and then gradually add the broth, whisk that all together, and then add the milk and the seasonings at the end and remove it from the heat and let it thicken. And here it is. all ready to eat. So I have the chicken spaghetti here. It is piping hot, and I just did some steam in the bag broccoli with a little sprinkling of Parmesan cheese and some buttered toast that I put under the broiler in the oven. This is some leftover beer bread from another video that I made a few days ago, and that will be dinner tonight. Really yummy, very simple, but very filling. Tonight, I am making something that my mom calls ranch house surprise. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? I gotta be honest though, I don't really know what the surprise is because it's a very simple kind of like Tex-Mex style casserole with just 5 ingredients. A pound of ground beef browned, 2 cans of chili style beans, 1 can of Rotel, 2 cans of Spanish rice. Yes, I said cans because when I was a little girl, I seem to remember that the Spanish rice that she used came in a can. Please tell me I'm not making that up. When I was a little older, she started buying the Spanish rice mixes like that Nora makes. I think Rice-A-Roni makes one too, and she would just make that up according to the package directions and use that instead. You mix all those ingredients together, put it in a casserole dish, and then top it with cheese, and you just bake it in the oven until it's bubbling through. And one of the great things about this casserole is that it's really versatile. Obviously, you can eat it on its own, you can put it in a tortilla, you can eat it in a taco shell or with tortilla chips. That's usually how we eat it. Also, it reheats really well, so it's a great meal prep, or it makes great leftovers, and it's gonna be great for a night like tonight because we are kind of in and out of the house a lot, and we need to eat in shifts because people are coming and going to and from activities. So I'm gonna throw that casserole together and then I'll show you what it looks like. Now, I thought about making my Spanish rice from scratch, but I gotta be honest with you, I'm really tired. So I'm gonna take a half shortcut. I bought this beef flavored rice and vermicelli mix at Aldi today. I couldn't find like a Spanish style rice mix, but this will work. And what I'm gonna do is just make this according to the package directions, but before I put the water in for it to finish cooking, I'm gonna add some extra water and add just some plain rice along with it. And then I'm just going to add an extra can of Rotel to this. So I'm gonna use some plain rice and some flavored rice and then just add some extra Rotel to kind of help kick up the flavor. That's how I'm gonna kind of meet myself halfway in the wanting to take a shortcut tonight. Okay, here it is, ready to go in the oven. Yummy. I seem to remember that my mom often served this with green beans, just canned green beans. That's what we grew up eating. Actually, I think she served this some with corn, but I feel like I already have the rice and the beans in the casserole and I don't really need, corn as well. Or I guess I could throw some into the casserole if I wanted, but if she didn't serve it with corn, she served it with canned green beans. And for some reason, I remember she often served it with these blueberry muffins. Maybe not this particular kind, but a kind that came in a pouch, like a mix that you just add milk or maybe milk and eggs to, and you bake them up into the oven. I don't know what the magical combination is of the casserole and the muffins, but for some reason, that's just what she served with it. So I'm going to make some of those up. I have a couple packages of these. I'm just going to make them according to the package directions. And then we're just going to have green beans on the side with this. And here it is, all plated up. I have some green beans and a muffin. I might have a second one, we'll see, because I made a dozen. I made 2 packages, and each package makes 6, so that makes 12. And then I topped my casserole with just a little bit of sour cream, and I have some chips on the side. And I know it's not much to look at, and it's so simple, but it's so delicious, and it goes a really long way, and it usually leaves leftovers for lunch the next day. Lest you guys think that I always have it together and always cook homemade meals for my family and that I never go through the drive-through or pick up some kind of takeout or something for my family, then think again, because it definitely happens. Usually around here, we eat out, or really in a pandemic world, we get takeout about once a week, sometimes twice in a really busy week. And tonight is one of those nights because I am very tired. It's been a very busy day. We had church this morning, and then I had some work in my office to do, and then we had a rehearsal, and then I rushed home to get Brick to his baseball kickoff party where they were taking team pictures. And on the way home, I was just like, oh, I'm so tired. I don't want to, not tired physically, but just like, I need to just unwind for a little bit. So I decided that I would go by Little Caesars and I would pick up some pizzas. When I was a kid, the Little Caesars pizza was like one of the best deals as far as quick service meals for families. And I'm old enough that I remember when the pizzas came side by side, because you had to buy 2 of them. That was the deal. And they came side by side on a piece of cardboard in a like paper sheath that they would put it into, like a paper. They would wrap it in paper. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I'll see if I can find a picture and post it up here if you know what I'm talking about. My dad owned his own veterinary practice for 44 years, and eventually they put in a Little Caesars, like very close, like right down the street on his way home. He would drive right by it. And so I remember having Little Caesars pizzas on Friday nights a lot when I was growing up, because on Friday nights in the fall, we would be usually heading out to high school football games. In the winter, we would be heading to high school basketball games. In the spring and summer, we were usually heading out to ball practices or tournaments, because I came from a pretty active and athletic family. So my dad would pick up a couple of those pizzas and of course a few packages of Crazy Bread. And still today, I think it's one of the best values as far as quick service meals go. Although I gotta say, the Crazy Bread has really gone up in price. I think it's like $4 for a package. And I remember when we used to be able to get it for $1. But you guys, I'm like phoning it in tonight. I'm just like done with today. It was a fine day, but I just don't feel like cooking. So that's what we're having tonight. Little Caesars pizza. Yay. On this night, I made chicken breast in the oven the way that my mom used to make it. It is a Parmesan and breadcrumb crusted chicken breast with homemade rice-a-roni. And when she made this, she just marinated the chicken with a bottle of Italian dressing. And I'm using chicken tenderloins, so they're a little bit smaller cut of chicken breast. She would sometimes use tenderloins, sometimes she would use just full-size chicken breast. It's up to you. But I marinated those in the refrigerator all day. Sometimes she would marinate them for as little as an hour and then go ahead and make the chicken, but I like to get them marinating earlier in the day because I think it makes it a little bit more flavorful. And now I'm just rolling the chicken, which has been marinating all day, in some breadcrumbs and grated Parmesan cheese. So I have about a half a cup of Italian panko breadcrumbs and half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, but you can use any kind of breadcrumbs. I've used whole wheat breadcrumbs. Sometimes in a pinch, I've just crushed up some crackers or some corn flakes. But again, I marinated the chicken in the refrigerator for several hours, and now I'm rolling it in the breadcrumb and Parmesan cheese mixture. And then I'm going to put that into a lightly greased casserole dish and bake it in the oven at 350 until it is done. And how long you bake it depends on the size of your chicken breast, you know, how many of them you're making, how crowded they are in the pan. So I always like to just use a digital meat thermometer and make sure that the internal temperature has reached the temperature that it's supposed to be for chicken to be done. So that's what I have there. You're seeing that I'm kind of putting that into the chicken breast after it's come out of the oven. These took about 35 to 40 minutes because they were a little bit smaller. The bigger ones usually I cook for 50 to 60 minutes, but there they are, all finished up. And to go along with this, I'm going to make some homemade rice-a-roni. My mom usually made a couple boxes of just the chicken flavor rice-a-roni, but you can actually make this from scratch with stuff you probably already have on hand in your kitchen. So you see that I've got some rice and some spaghetti and then some various spices in there. Unfortunately, I lost some of my footage, so what you did not see is that I actually browned 1 cup of rice and half a cup of like broken up spaghetti in 2 tablespoons of butter. And now I'm adding some seasonings. I added some garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper to taste. And then I added about 3.5 cups of water, and I'm also going to throw in about a tablespoon of chicken broth base. You could throw in some bouillon cubes, or you could just use regular chicken broth. But I really think it makes a difference whenever you brown your rice and your spaghetti or your vermicelli, and make sure that you break up the spaghetti into little pieces. That's basically what rice-a-roni is. It's just rice that has actual thin pasta in it. So it's actually rice and pasta. And you can season it however you want. Like I said, I used probably about a teaspoon of garlic powder and onion powder, and I also threw in a teaspoon of parsley, salt and pepper, and then just the chicken broth base. I brought it to a boil, and then I turned the heat down to low, and I let it cook for about 15 minutes, and then I turned the heat completely off, and I just let it steam. And this is how it turned out. It turns out great every time for me. Sometimes I know rice can be kind of fickle, but I find that if I turn it off before it's completely cooked and just let it finish cooking with the stove off with the lid on, it will steam and finish cooking that way, and then it doesn't burn to the bottom of the pot. So here it is, all finished up. I've got my little Parmesan and breadcrumb crusted chicken tenders there with my homemade rice-a-roni, and I just made some broccoli to go on the side. And this was something that we ate a lot growing up because it was really easy for my mom to throw together, and this was really delicious. Tonight I am making tostadas, and tostadas are basically like an open-faced taco. And fun fact, I actually just discovered this when I was talking with my mom last weekend. She did not like tacos. Like she didn't like feeding us tacos as a family because they were messy. You know how like when you bite into a taco and it completely falls apart? So with a tostada, you can serve it on a plate and eat it with a fork, and it kind of saved on the mess. Tostadas, I think traditionally are fried corn tortillas with refried beans and then taco fixings like tomatoes, lettuce, sour cream, cheese, whatever you have on hand. So it can be a meatless meal. My mom did serve them with seasoned ground beef, and she usually used pinto beans instead of refried beans. So I have refried beans and beef and then all of the taco fixings to go along with it. And I am going to fry my corn tortillas. You can buy tostada shells already made up. They're already like crispy. They come stacked up in like a package, usually where the tortillas and stuff are. But what made the tostadas so good, I remember growing up, was mom actually making the tostada shells at home fresh. So it was just a corn tortilla and then you fry it in a little bit of vegetable oil. Yes, I know, fried corn tortilla, but I'm just telling you, it doesn't take very much oil. They're little bitty flat tortillas and it makes all the difference if you ask me. So that's what we're having tonight, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's ready. Okay, so here is my tostada. I've got my homemade tostada shell here on the bottom, and then I have some refried beans and some of my taco seasoned ground beef, shredded lettuce, cheese, a little salsa, and a little dollop of sour cream there. Yes, I have actual sour cream. Normally I have Greek yogurt, but I've had this in the fridge. I don't remember why I bought this, but I'm trying to use it up. So that's mine. I might have another one. These were a big hit. I'm just getting to mine because I was frying the tortillas, and as I was frying them, people were coming in and making their plates. Everybody's really hungry tonight. But 2 of my 3 kids came back for seconds, and my husband had a second one also. Now there are some recipes on Pinterest or some instructions for how you can bake the tostada shells, how you can bake the corn tortillas to make tostadas. And like I said, you can buy them already crispy, but I'm just telling you, making them homemade, it just takes it over the top. It makes such a big difference. And this is a really inexpensive meal because the ingredients are really inexpensive, especially if you don't use meat. If you want to make it a meatless meal, this is a very budget-friendly meal that you can stretch a long way if you're trying to feed a lot of people. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful, and I will be sure to check in with another video very soon. Bye.